Sir, good question for you, man.
Oh yeah?
What do you do for work?
I am a real estate company owner. I'm the founding partner of Williams International.
What type of real estate like? Is it commercial or residential or everything?
Residential sales and leasing across all of the core communities in Dubai.
Do you have 1 minute
Sorry, mate.
to do like a conversation?
Yeah, I've got a couple of
Okay.
minutes, mate. We can go upstairs, mate, yeah?
Let's go. You said you have your own company, right?
Yes.
How much money you turned as a business owner or as a realtor out here in Dubai?
The best year so far, we turned over about $6 million.
And how much of that was for you?
Nowhere near that. $6 million is what we build as a company.
Okay.
And then obviously our agents will get half of what they bill. Some agents will get 60%, some agents will get 65 based on their performance. And then obviously there's overheads, property finder, Bayou, the office, salaried staff. We have an amazing marketing team here. We have admin support staff. We have a sales director. As an owner, you pay yourself last, right?
Yeah.
And there have been times over the last sort of 4 years in periods. I can remember a couple of years ago when we had to pay everybody else. We didn't get paid, or we got paid a little bit. And then when we had more deals come in and transferred, then we paid ourselves. And this is the common misconception as a Dubai real estate company owner, because I mean, I owned this company for about 3 months, 4 months. And it's like everyone automatically thinks that you're a billionaire after like 3 months. So obviously I sunk all my money. We haven't got investment for this company. This is all of our hard-earned money. Me and Matt set this company up 4.5 years ago with all of our savings, and we sunk all of our savings into it. We then had to do deals ourselves to keep the company afloat in the early period. I didn't have the money I started with for 2 years after I started this company, right? I had to make it all back. But yeah, there's a common misconception that anyone that owns a real estate company, even if you've got 2 staff members, you must be a billionaire. That's not how it is, you know. We're just the same as everybody else. And some of the agents in here earn far more than what we earn.
How many agents do you have now in the company?
We've got 45 agents.
How do you feel with this responsibility on your shoulders?
I used to have imposter syndrome. So like maybe 2 years ago, or I think, 2.5 years ago, when we started this company, it was a tiny 3-man business center office. We didn't think it was going to grow to this, or maybe eventually it will, but we didn't think it would grow so quick. So in early 2022, we went from 12 employees to 25 in the space of about 2 months. And I can remember coming into this office, it might have been like late morning or something. I've walked in the office and I've come through to the sales floor and I've looked around and I've seen all these people and I'm like, wow, when did it get this big? Like, do you know what I mean? It was kind of like, it felt like it was overnight. So I was like, wow, did this lot really think that like I'm the person that they can trust with their real estate and their lives and all this? So I did have a sense of like, you kind of like doubt yourself. But I always backed Matt. My business partner is amazing. He's probably the best person in terms of being a manager, an owner, or whatever else that I've ever seen. And it's not even close. Despite me having maybe a few doubts about myself, I had full trust in him. So I knew we would be all right. Yeah. And now, you know, I've done it for so long now, I kind of do believe that I am a good enough person to lead the company, make decisions, serve as an example and stuff like that.
What was your lowest point in real estate here in Dubai?
My lowest, it's probably a couple. So I moved to Dubai with 30,000 dirhams, spent it all on living, got a credit card. I'm into my credit card, borrowing money off Matt at the time. And I can remember I did 2 deals in leasing and both tenants called me up. It was a similar sort of time. So over the course of 2 or 3 days, I was getting called every day from 2 different tenants that I'd put into houses. And they were both screaming at me like, oh, the house isn't clean. You know, you haven't done your job. I want my commission back and all this. And I thought, wow, I've literally got no money. I've spent all my money. I'm into a credit card and I've got clients calling me up, complaining about this, complaining about that. No fault of my own. It was the landlord's fault that they didn't clean the property before the tenants moved in. It's in the contract that they should do that, right? And I can just remember breaking down and just crying, like, and just being like, I don't know how I'm gonna get through this.
How did you bounce back from that?
Belief.
Belief.
There was so many times when I doubted myself about, you know, was I that good at the job? Because I wasn't the best real estate agent, and I could do the job. But out of the people that can do the job, I was probably mid-range at best. So I had doubts about whether or not I could do it. I didn't have disposable income in Dubai for like 2.5 years. So I'm living paycheck to paycheck for 2.5 years, borrowing for 2.5 years, no money. So the doubt set in. But there was always like that little bit in me that was like, I kind of feel like you're gonna do it. Like, I kind of feel like you are gonna probably come out of it.
Yeah.
It might take another 2 years, but it was in there, like in the back of my mind. Yeah, you're struggling. Yeah, you got no money. Yeah, like it's hard, whatever. But like there was just that little bit of belief. That would be my advice to anyone: is you have to have that belief. And I don't know how you can train yourself to have it. Maybe you just have it or you don't. But if you have that little glimmer of belief, you'll get there.
What was the turning point to you becoming a key figure in the real estate?
I wouldn't say I was a key figure. Maybe I'm just being humble. But the turning point, there was a turning point. There actually was. There probably is in a lot of people's careers, right? So in March 2019, it was my birthday, 2nd of March. And I went back home. I visited my mum. And again, this is 2.5 years after I've been in Dubai. So I've still got no money.
Whoa,
I've got nothing. Zero in all of my bank accounts, living month to month, and I've been here for 2.5 years. So I'm starting to think, is this, the doubts probably peaked out, and I thought, what am I going to do? Spoke to my mum about it. Shall I move back to the UK and try property investment? That was the conversation, and I thought, you know what, like, let's just give it another go. Like, let's just, however long, I didn't want to give it a time frame. Let me just see how I feel when I'm back. And in April 2019, bearing in mind I'd done like 2 deals up to this point in the year. In April 2019, I did 4 deals, including my first in Emirates Hills. So I sold villas in Emirates Hills, and the first one I sold, I can't remember how much I made on it, maybe 125,000 dirhams from one deal, or 120, something like that, I think. And then I saved all that money and I bought an apartment, which I later moved into. So what that month, that April 2019 did, I made about like 175k that month. I was broke and I made 175k in a month, which was my first good, like, decent month. And it all just seemed to change from there. I was a little bit more relaxed, confident, felt like I could do it. I didn't need the deals as much, or didn't feel like I needed the deals as much. And I felt like that come across with clients, that, I could think more about the client and not my bank account, And as much as you try and do that before, when you're broke, you can't do it. You're thinking about your bank, and the fact there's nothing in it. So yeah, after that it changed, and then obviously it was just it spiraled from there. Deals seemed to come in a little bit more. I did a lot better over the next sort of 18 months, and 2 years after that month, I did another big deal in Emirates Hills, and which funded this company. So it kind of was that deal, that Emirates Hills deal. Shout out Nabil, he's living in Abu Dhabi now. That deal seemed to be the turning point where things got a little bit easier. I was less stressed. I had a bit of money. I bought a property, So yeah, that was the turning point in my career.
Key figures, this interview is on fire from start to finish. But I have a quick announcement here. If you're into real estate, you know how competitive this game is. Most of you realtors are grinding to create content, chase DMs, follow up. It's obvious you're not closing any deal because you're doing everything manually. What if I tell you, top realtors don't do the hustle you're doing manually anymore? You know what? They automate. They use tools like ManyChat to capture leads, qualify them, and even book appointments, all while they're sleeping or enjoying their time out with friends. I've got the same system waiting for you in the description. And if you sign up today with my link, you'll get 30% off your first 3 months using ManyChat. Now let's get back to the interview. What negotiation mistake that you made back then that costed you a lot of money?
I can't think of one. I've never made a mistake.
Oh my God.
I've made plenty of mistakes, but that's a good question. I'll tell you where I've made many mistakes in the earlier days. It's kind of not really a mistake, but it kind of is. And a lot of real estate agents in the market I see are doing it now. And I guess this is kind of dictated from the sellers as well, and the sellers should be aware of this as well. I'll set the scene, right? Because right now in the market, there is 5 times as many brokers in the market today as when we first set up the company. So there was 5,000 registered brokers when we set this company up, and now there's 25,000. Wow. So there's a lot more brokers in the market. So when you're doing a community like Emirates Living and the Palm, which is our our best areas that we cover, there's a lot of competition. There's a lot of buyers. There's a lot of agents fighting for listings. So what newer agents in the market, by the looks of things, by the list prices that I see online, are overvaluing properties. They're saying to the seller that their property is worth more, so the seller likes them. Because if I come to you and I say, hi, your house is worth 4 million dirhams, and then the next guy comes in and goes, oh wow, this is amazing, I think this is worth 5 million, you'll be like, okay, you're more likely to go, okay, I'll give you a go at 5 million. And then what happens is that agent who's overvalued it wins the listing, and then over the course of the next 2 or 3 months, they try and whittle the price down to actually where it needs to be, but they've already won the listing. So where I think agents are making mistakes, I probably made this mistake back in the day a fair few times, not being brutally honest enough with the seller. Yeah, realistic with the seller. Don't let the seller dictate where you list the property. If it's far too much money, it is then your job to meet them face to face, have a good conversation with them, come with the data. And if he still wants far too much money for his villa, say no worries. You don't have to work with every single person in the market. You just have to work with the ones that are going to be receptive to your advice, ones that are realistic, ones that have genuine motivation. Don't just list a load of properties for the sake of it in the hope that you're going to get an inquiry from a buyer. So I think in the market today, there's more and more of that. I don't know if it's the brokers overvaluing the property in the first place, or I don't know if it's the seller who says, I want to list it for this price, and the broker just says yes. Either way, you need to come and meet a seller with a lot more data, a lot more, advice and stuff like that, because that's the biggest negotiation mistake people will make, is listing their property for too much money, because you're not going to get the interest that you need. And if it sits on the market for 2 or 3 months, everyone thinks that there's a problem for it. So list the property where it needs to be, realistically to sell, and you'll get the best offers. So that's probably like the first port of call in a negotiation, but it's a mistake that everybody seems to be making at the moment.
So what skills needed to become a successful realtor here in Dubai, like broker?
Mindset. That's the only thing. You don't need anything else. You don't need any skills. I didn't have any skills. I've never seen myself as an estate agent, as a real estate agent. I've never seen myself as a salesperson, and I've never seen myself as a particularly good business owner. All it is work rate. You have to have the mindset. Don't fall into the trap about making it about you. This ain't about you. You're representing your family, your loved ones, and stuff like that, right? My dad is very risk averse, or so he makes it seem to me anyway. He's very risk averse, wants us to be safe, just wants us to be happy, blah, blah, blah. Don't take no risks. When I was about to tell him I was moving to Dubai, I thought he would be like, no, don't do it. Stay at home, whatever. I told him I was moving to Dubai, and he said, well, I think that's a good idea. I think you'll do well. So that kind of, for me, added a bit of pressure. He's not telling me I can't do it. He's telling me, yeah, you'll do it. So I had my dad backing me. So all in those early months, early times, I was kind of like, yes, I want it to be about me. I want to make money myself. I want to be successful myself. I want my own fulfillment. But at the same time, I want to do it for my old man who has just told me that I'm going to be successful. I want to do it for my family. I want to go back when I visit the UK. I want people to go, my friends and my family go, you know what, you did it, mate. Like, fair play, like, well done, and they are happy for me in the way that it's gone.
You were lucky to have such a family to support you, right? But what message you pass out to parents who want to force their kids to follow certain industry or certain something to study, or force them to do something that they don't like?
I'd say, like, the more that you force, the less likely they're going to end up doing it. I think parents that are trying to force someone to do something, like, obviously you're always going to be potentially biased when you do this, but just give the information and they'll make the right choice. And if they don't make the right choice, who cares? They're 17, they're 18, they're 21. You can fuck up at 30 and still be successful by 50. Yeah. So who cares? Like, let them fuck up, because they'll learn from it anyway and they'll come back better. If nobody ever fucked up, how would we get better? So, like, don't force, educate, and let them make the decision. Wow. And if they fuck it up, who cares?
How do you define a key figure?
I think someone that has innovated in the market space, whatever that industry is, someone that's innovated and maybe been the first to do it and it's worked. Someone that has done something slightly different that probably 99% of people would have said don't do it, because that's the standard mindset seems to be of people. But someone that's tried something new, innovated, in an industry
Yeah.
and it's worked, and therefore everyone started to copy them.
Yeah.
I think that would be a key figure for me. Someone that has respect, someone that people kind of look up to, someone that people talk about for various different reasons, good and bad. And someone that's probably known within their industry for doing great things and being successful.
Great definition. Yeah. We call them, actually, we simply call them leaders. Key figures equal leaders. So yeah, who's the key figure in your life that you look up to?
I'd say my dad. I lived with just my dad between the age of about 9 and 12, I think it was. And there was weeks where my dad would leave the house before I woke up for school and come home after I've gone to bed. So he was obviously working he would leave for work at like 7 o'clock in the morning, come home from work at like 9 o'clock at night. So he worked really hard, and he instilled that in me, that if you're going to get something, you have to work really hard for it.
Last thing is, what message or what's the guiding principle you want to pass out to the future key figures?
My message to the future key figures is to operate with humility. Don't think that you're better than anybody else. I've never ever thought that I was better than anybody else because I was earning more money than them perhaps at Allsop, or I was an owner of a business and people work in it. I've never ever thought that, and maybe this is just innate in me, but what I believe is everyone's just on kind of like a different path. They're on a different timeline, and also operate with empathy. It's hard to do all the time, but I try and be an empath. I try and understand where people are coming from when they've got a problem. I don't try and take sides. I don't. If I think I'm right in a discussion or an argument or whatever, I will try and see if I can understand it from their point of view and see if there's an argument there as well, and kind of try and meet in the middle. I think when people are having disagreements or arguments, or they're not on the same side about something, they just go into defense mode and automatically think they're right, and they don't listen to understand the point that the other person's trying to make. They listen just to reply. Listen, try and understand, be an empath, operate with empathy and humility, be kind to everybody, be positive, and be grateful.
That was great advice, my friend. Thank you so much.